Hey, Internet, Eric here, and as you can see, I am not here alone. I am here with Deathmatch wrestling legend, all around cool fucking dude, and horror movie fanatic, Mad Man Pondo. Pondo,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that legend word. That's like Ric Flair and Terry Funk.
how about this? Official Deathmatch Wrestling Hall of Famer, if you don't want to be a legend. How about that?
There you go. There you go. Great.
Okay. Pondo, like I said offline, I appreciate you sitting down just to shoot the shit. We've got lives outside of, you wrestling and stuff like that, but I do appreciate it, man.
No problem, man. I appreciate. Listen, I don't tell podcasts no because you are the people who keep our names going. So for me to
Hmm.
tell you no is just like me saying, "Hey, I want to kill my fucking career, and I don't want to do that."
Hmm.
So
No. Yeah. I mean, it does mean a lot. I'm going to fanboy a little bit. I've been a fan of yours since the late 90s, you know what I mean? Early 2000s. And like I said, we'll get the
I hear
usual
you.
boring ass wrestling questions out of the way so we can talk some fucking horror, just so people can get to know you a
Sounds
little
good.
bit. When I first found out
All right.
about you, it was through one of the aftermaths, and it was the four sides of pain. I know to call it the four sides of pain and not the four corners of pain.
Paying
And
attention. You're paying.
that's you
Well,
were against someone we won't name, but
yeah, Ian Rotten. I don't give a fuck. I mean, Ian Rotten, whatever. But
mhm,
here's the deal with that magazine. So back in the day, I mean, today, if you
mhm.
want to search Slack hits a man in the face with a fish, you can search that, and within 5 minutes, it's on your internet screen. But back
Mhm.
in the day, that social media was those magazines and tape trading.
Oh yeah.
So once that magazine came out, people started paying attention, because that was a 4-page spread.
Yeah, it
So
was.
people started paying attention to who I was at that time.
And what I loved about it first, I loved seeing something because that was when I was getting into ECW as well. We didn't have it locally, but I knew there was,
Yeah.
the chairs and the barbed wire and stuff. But concerning that spread, first off, those bloody pictures looked awesome in black and white. I think they look cool in black and white. But I
Oh,
didn't know that there was, you can go past the barbed wire. Like there was a pit, I guess you would say, of mouse traps. I think there was thumbtacks. And it
yeah.
was neat for me
Lied.
to kind of see there is an outside world of just like, the barbed wire and the chair shots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned tape tradings. That's where I got to know you because the one of the first, I guess you would say, non Japanese deathmatch stuff, with Cactus and Funk that I
Yeah.
saw you was the first IWA Mid South King of the Death matches,
Yeah.
and that's where I found out you physically. You know what I mean? Like you're more than just the guy on Stranglemania 2. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
got to see you work like that, and I'll always remember falling in love with the stop sign gimmick. And then I get to learn about you. You're always with a different horror movie T-shirt.
Oh
You know what I mean? So that's something that I was able to identify with you. And then what really got me as a fan is first off that bump when I think it was Doug Gilbert threw you into like the little spider net.
So, uh, yeah, there wasn't there wasn't that many death match guys back then,
Hmm.
but Ian booked Doug Gilbert. I love Doug Gilbert, man. Doug Gilbert, we're friends to this day. But we've talked about this. But Doug set me up for a suplex,
Hmm.
and he said suplex into that pit, which is off the edge of the ring. So I'm thinking, wow, Doug Gilbert is really putting in the fucking effort for this tournament, and he
Hmm.
suplexed me. He stayed on the ring,
Yeah.
and you saw how I rolled. Well, I cut my chin on that barbed wire. Uh, I thought Doug meant he was coming with me, and then when I
Hmm.
said something later on in life, Doug was like, "There ain't no fucking way I was coming off there with you." So, yeah, but I mean, hey, look at it this way: it helped you notice me. It helped a lot of
Hmm.
people notice me. So that bump helped me out a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those that always sticks with me. Just seeing, because you mentioned your chin, just seeing the way your body landed, and you
Yeah.
laid there for a minute, so you have that feeling, is this fucker dead type of thing. Because one thing you also like to talk about when it comes to death matches is the art of it. You know what I mean? It's not just breaking tubes for the sake of breaking tubes. You want this to mean something. We're not going to fuck up a spot just to, make it look good. You want it to actually have a purpose in the actual match itself.
I'll give you a perfect example of that. 2 New Years ago, me
Mhm.
and Matt Tremont took on each other for GCW, and
Mhm.
I told Matt, I said, let's do something different. Let's not swing or throw any tubes. And Matt was like, what? I was like, yeah, let's not swing or throw any tubes. Let's do all moves through the tubes. Let's give this. They've seen it. They've seen all those
Mhm.
throws.
Mhm.
So Matt agreed. And after the match, you look on the internet and everybody's talking about how innovative me and Matt Tremont's match was. No, it's not innovative at all. We
Mhm.
just didn't go with the norm. We didn't pick up a stack of tubes and throw them at each other or swing each other. Everything was a move. And I will say that cinder block spot was one of the dumbest fucking ideas I ever had. It'll never happen again. But yeah, man. And I I do my best
Mhm.
to. So I'm not even gonna mention their names because I bitched them out. But some of these guys will grab
Sure.
a tube and they'll break it over their own head and shit
Right.
like that. And I'm the one going, guys, why the fuck do that? If you're gonna swing one at me and then I'm gonna lay there for you, stop swinging them at your head. Well, two of them has stopped, one has not stopped. Well, whatever.
Mhm.
And yeah, man, I do my best. Uh, I love death matches. I was
Mhm.
number 3 in America start doing death matches. I want death matches to go on forever.
Mhm.
I will say they're at an all-time high right now with all the companies doing death matches. AEW doing a couple on
Mhm.
one pay-per-view, one TV show. So
Right.
I do see that death matches are getting the attention that they deserve now, but
Mhm.
I want them to keep going. And with all these guys just throwing tubes at each other, and it always gets a good pop. But when
Mhm.
they trade, when they pick it up, they
Yeah.
trade, but they don't go down.
Mhm.
I mean, they're killing the whole light too. I
It's,
mean,
yeah.
I'm no expert.
I agree with as a fan, because, like you said, if I'm fighting you and I'm whipping the hell out of you with anything, but a chair or a light tube or something like that, and then you sell it. But then the very next day, or the very next move I do is I bust it over my head. Then that either A makes the light tubes look weak, or it kind of takes a shit on you for you taking the light tube shot just 30 seconds ago. So I totally get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you
But
mentioned
I
spots. No, go
mean,
ahead.
and here's the thing with it. One more thing:
Hmm.
you you either evolve with professional wrestling, or you get the.
Hmm.
I have chose to evolve with
Right.
it, so I'm gonna keep on going.
Well, there's a reason you've been doing it over 25 years, dude. You know what I mean? It's like here's how I was thinking about it, when I was writing down my questions, because I don't know when your actual first match was. I'm reading your book now. But like I said, I became a fan with you in 97 with that first King of the Death match. So over 25 years, you're kind of like, in my opinion, like the Undertaker, if you want to talk about a mainstream guy, because you're, like you said, evolving with the
I'm
sport
so sorry,
itself. You
Eric.
know what I
My
mean? You're
my connection is.
okay.
Can you hear
Can you
me?
hear me? I can hear you, dude.
Yeah, my connection is pretty slow, but
Okay.
yeah, June 24th, 1989. This was my first match, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do any hardcore, any deathmatch stuff at that time.
Mm-hmm.
People think that I just got straight into death matches. Well, no, that's how you
Right.
heard of me, straight into death matches. But
Mm-hmm.
when I pull out some wrestling moves, for some reason it always gets a pop because they're like, holy shit, look what Mad Man Pondo just did.
Mm-hmm. And what I was saying when the connection was off is, to me, you kind of remind me of like Undertaker if we're looking to a mainstream wrestler, because you're evolving with the time. You know what I mean? It's not just with, because he evolved character wise. You're not just violence for violence
Yeah.
sake. You know what I mean? And one of the things I really love about you is you're not afraid to pick on anyone in the crowd as well. Because I've seen plenty of matches where you're either insulting young kids, old women, it doesn't matter,
Yes.
and there's no limits. And that's what I think is kind of missing. And I always have a little sneer on my face when it's someone being insulted that you really wouldn't see being insulted. You know what I mean? And I really like that about you as well.
Well,
And
I'm kind of
you
famous.
mentioned, yeah. Well, that's something I always look forward to because right now I have a lot of tournaments, and you were a staple big time, whether it was IW Mid South or like border championship wrestling, that type of stuff. You're always waiting for that little Pondo bit before the fight where he's going to insult the 10-year-old kid. You're first off, you're wondering why a 10-year-old kid is there. Well, then all bets are off. If he's going to see some blood and guts, he's going to hear some stuff he probably shouldn't
That's
hear.
it.
You know what I mean? And um, you mentioned the cinder block
That's it.
incident with Tremont. I'm sure you're tired of talking about this incident, but the pencil incident, and the reason why I'm really going to bring up the pencil board incident is not just because it's never really been done since that I know of, but I'm a little personal to this because I got an autograph 8x10 from you, and you said, how do you want to personalize it? I said, just anything about the pencil, and you just put fuck the pencil spot.
That's
And
right.
I love about it. We're going to get into that just a little bit. I know you're tired of talking about it. What I love
No, I'm
about
not tired
reading,
of talking about whatever.
okay, I'm reading your autobiography. Get it everywhere. Memoirs of a Madman. And one of my favorite bits in that right now is the reason why you decided to do the pencil spot. And what it is, it was a sheet of styrofoam with sharpened number 2 pencil sticking out. And the reason why you wanted to do it was because Necro Butcher said fuck that.
Not only Necro Butcher. So I sit back and I'm a thinker and I'm a watcher. And
Mm-hmm.
backstage, man, there was just weapons everywhere, constructions of everywhere, but all the wrestlers kept looking at this pencil board going, oh shit, we're not doing nothing with that. Oh my God, we're not doing nothing with that. But the
Mm-hmm.
bravest deathmatch guy I know was Wrestling Brain Damage.
Mm-hmm.
Necro looked at that and said, oh, fuck that. We're not doing that. And I was like, holy shit. So I'm the guy who always wants to be remembered in anything that I do. I
Mm-hmm.
strive on that. So
Yeah.
for that tournament, I can't remember when it was, but they remember that Necro Butcher won. They
Mm-hmm.
remember that Nick James got caught on fire.
Yep.
They remember that a guy named Blood took a bump over the top rope into a shopping cart and cut his knee like a hacksaw in the side
Yeah.
of a fucking hog.
That,
And they
that one still
remember
makes me
that
wince.
they remember that pencil spot. So
Mm-hmm.
mission accomplished. But oh my God, dude. So you say it hasn't been done since. Well, I have stopped wrestlers from doing that spot,
Mm-hmm.
not because I want to glorify myself or I don't want anybody to imitate it. I don't want so after that I still have the shit in my back now. You can look in my
Right.
back. Um 6 days of agony. That
Mm-hmm.
that graphite, lead, whatever got down into my bloodstream and fucked me up for 6 days. And I don't want
Mm-hmm.
any other wrestler, even ones I don't like, to
Mm-hmm.
ever have to go through that because it was just agonizing bullshit that yeah. So I hope it never gets duplicated.
Is there, other than the pencil spot, is there anything that like you have ever refused to do, whether it's like fire or razor wire, just because you didn't trust an incident of something going wrong, landing on it wrong, or your opponent not being completely confident in what they were doing.
So the fire is so unpredictable. You never know. You never know what you're going to get with fire. But I have done fire spots.
Okay.
But razor wire, I think razor wire. I mean, I see what razors do. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to land in a whole bed of them. I don't want to land on ropes of them. So yeah, I refuse razor wire. I'll never do that.
That shit, to me, that shit's just fucking scary to look at. Um, and the other incident that just because that I'll always know you from. My top three are the pencils, the Doug Gilbert bump from '97, and then you and Ian with the scissors.
Yeah.
I think you called it in your book your CZW tryout match, and
Yes.
that's the
Yeah.
reason. What I read in your book was, I'm not going to spoil the whole book. Don't worry, because it's a
Not,
great read.
well, okay.
Okay, but I didn't realize like the reason why you guys were cut so deep was because they were brand new scissors. They weren't filed
Yeah.
down, and it was because someone just you guys didn't have the scissors and they just grabbed something off the shelf, or how did that mistake happen?
We didn't even think about doing the scissor spot all the way to Philadelphia. And
Mm-hmm.
then when we got there, uh, Ian came up with it and said, "Hey, this is a good spot. We need to get jobs here." I'm like, "I agree." He said, "Hat guy from ECW was
Okay.
out in the crowd." He said, let's cut each other with scissors in front of that guy because if we can get a reaction out of that guy, we'll
Mm-hmm.
have jobs." Well, we did. Hat guy almost puked off of it. But uh, after that, yes, we had jobs. But when Ian announced to the locker room, "Does anybody have scissors?"
Mm-hmm.
Man, is it Everett Lord Everett
Uh,
Hayes?
I think you're saying Lord Everett Devore.
That guy, Lord Everett
Yeah.
DeVore, said, "I have a
Mm-hmm.
pair of scissors." Well, we didn't know that he had a brand new pair of scissors. He went and got them out of the package. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we were going to cut each other, but we didn't know we was going to cut each other like butter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got 17 in my arm, and I think Ian got 24 across his forehead. But
Yeah.
it got me a job. They didn't want him. It got me a job at CZW.
And that's where I also got to know you, was like your stuff as the Iron Man champ, especially against Lobo, and this and that. One thing I actually want to get into was I told you I found out who you were like in the ring through tape trading and stuff like that. But I was also getting into ICP at the time. I
Yeah,
was getting into them around when Great Malenko came out. So I
yeah.
went to my local record store, and also being a wrestling fan, there is this VHS tape, says ICP Stranglemania. Didn't know who the
Mm-hmm.
guy was on the cover. Some dude, long black hair in his face, covered with
Parts.
blood, yep, sticking his tongue out. And I knew of Stranglemania. If people don't know what it is uh, Violent J and Shaggy, they would take Japanese death matches, remove the Japanese audio, and then do the commentary themselves in a very very fucking funny fashion. Like, my wife does not like death matches. She does not like ICP's music, but she will sit and watch a Stranglemania video because they are that fucking hilarious. And that's where I got to find out about you. And then I learned more about you through working with them through JCW. How is it that came across? Did they reach out to you after they used your image, or were you getting big in the deathmatch world and they just wanted to have you work their fed? How did that work?
So me and Ian was doing shows for Sweet Daddy Malcolm Monroe,
Mm-hmm.
not two, not three, but the dad
Mm-hmm.
of two and the grandpa of three. We was doing shows in this boxing arena. I can't remember what the name of the boxing arena was, but they were in Detroit, Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and We had done 2 or 3 shows, and these 2 guys, me and Ian, was doing a thumbtack death match,
Mm-hmm.
and there was 2 guys there, Hector Hatchett and the Sewer Dweller.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know who Hector Hatchett or the Sewer Dweller was, nor did I know half the guys on that Detroit roster. So, um, me and Ian got done doing our match. Now on Stranglemania 1,
Mm-hmm.
ICP put pictures of Ian and Axel doing their deathmatch stuff on the VCR case,
Mm-hmm.
and Ian knew about that. So
Mm-hmm.
Ian had bitched him out about, hey, why put my pictures on there and not pay me or none of that, So already they didn't give a fuck about who that guy was, or
Yeah.
I think he bitched him out there at that show. But I was sitting back there pulling thumbtacks out of my crotch from my fucking singlet, and
Uh-huh.
they were all in my bottom of my boots. And these 2 dudes with dreadlocks came over,
Mm-hmm.
and of course they was like, God, dude, that was fucking awesome. We loved every minute of that. They're like, we did videotapes of that, and I'm like, yeah, I heard my guy
Uh-huh.
telling you about that, and he was like, look, man, we can't really fuck with him, but we're going to start a wrestling company, and we want you to come with us. And I was like, well, okay, great, but you hear so much shit
Right.
in this wrestling business, so I was like, all right, two guys with dreadlocks wants me to come with them. Hell yeah, whatever.
Uh-huh.
So uh, they gave me a Tunnel of Love CD.
Mm-hmm.
When I opened it, had a Photoshop picture of Shaggy with this huge horse cock already.
Yep.
I'm like, what the hell is going on?
What are you getting into? Yeah.
Yeah, and then they gave me a Super Balls T-shirt.
Okay.
It was a white T-shirt with a dick that had a Superman cape and his hair, and it said, "Ain't no bitch too fat, ain't no bitch too whack, ain't no bitch too ugly," and then Super Balls real big at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So, me and my wife at the time, we were driving home from that Detroit, Michigan show, and
Mm-hmm.
they'd give us a CD. So we popped the CD in. It was fucking hilarious. It was great. We
Mm-hmm.
loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we listened to it a couple of times on the way home. So once we got to my house, things kind of, got forgotten about. Not
Right.
forgotten, but I didn't know who they was, and
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in O'Fallon, Illinois or Missouri. I can't remember which one. In the mall,
Okay.
and multiple kids are wearing these guys' T-shirts. I'm like, holy shit, that's those guys. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get a number. I didn't get a contact. I didn't get shit. So I was like, damn it. So then in 97, they decided to do a show called Stranglemania Live.
Okay.
And they told a guy named Dan Curtis, whatever you do, get a hold of this guy, Mad Man Pondo.
Mm-hmm.
So Dan Curtis, of course, got a hold of me through that motherfucking Ian Rotten. So already Ian's on the show, I'm on the show, another piece of shit named Ox Harley's on the show. So we're in a 3-way. My
Mm-hmm.
wife at the time is on the show. She's supposed to wrestle Angel in
Okay.
a thumbtack death match. Angel from ECW.
Okay.
Um, so we find out that day that she can't make it. So when we get there, I wrestled twice. I wrestled Angel in the thumbtack death match, and then I wrestled piece of shit 1 and 2
Mm-hmm.
in a 3-way, and that was in '97. And I've been with these guys ever since. I've been to every gathering there is doing
Mm-hmm.
something in the ring. I'm the only wrestler to go to all 23 gatherings and do something in the ring. Um, I took Violent J to Japan with me this time.
Yep.
Uh, Juggalo weekend, I'm booked on that. Yeah, and man, I cannot. So it was Joe's dream, Violent J's dream to wrestle in Corrigan Hall,
Mm-hmm.
and he made so many of my dreams come true, whether I knew that they were dreams or not at the time. So it was my goal to not only get Violent J to Japan to wrestle in Corrigan Hall, but to me and him tagged. We tagged in Corrigan Hall, and Joe went over. You can say what you want about the moonsault, but he still made it all the way over. 1, 2, 3, and yeah, man. And I'm still close to both them guys today, as far as I know.
That's what I thought was cool. I was more a fan of, like, I love their music. You know, I had everything all the way. I think the last one I got was Bang Pow Boom, but you could tell that these guys, you know, they're more than just air quotes the gimmick. You know what I mean? They actually enjoyed wrestling. They respected wrestling, and they respected the past, because that's why they always had people like, you know, Greg Valentine or Hacksaw Duggan. You know, they wanted to work with the guys that they grew up loving, and I always thought that was really cool. And one thing you mentioned, Japan, I wanted to talk about is how much of a culture shock is it, Pondo? Those times when you were, you know, whether it was working for Ian or whoever, and it's the arena is like an eighth full. You know what I mean? You're killing yourselves in front of a dozen people. You go from that, and now, like, this past tour, this is like your second tour, to my knowledge, of Japan this year, because you had one
this year. Yeah, third.
Right.
Third. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is my third tour.
How is it, like, culture shock wise? Like, even looking back, going from those dozen fans to like sold out arenas in Japan. You know what I mean? You know, do you look back at that like with a smile, like, you know, kind of like you have, but like, I've made it type of thing? Or how does that feel when you look at, you know, the dozen to the sold out arenas?
The whole art form thing that you was talking about, that also applies to, it doesn't matter whether there's 10 or if there's 1,000 fans. You go in there and say there is 10 fans, but if you do the right bump and one of those 10 fans tells the internet or whoever, oh my God, you should have seen this. Yeah. So as far as making it, I don't think I have made it, because this is the way I look at it. So there's A famous, B famous, C famous. I think I'm in the E's or the F's. Like,
really?
Because I've never been on any nationwide TV show. Well, I have. I did Rosebud for WWE, but who the fuck knows that? Right. I did a dark match for TNA, but not a dark match, but
was it for AEW Dark or TNA Dark, something like that?
No AEW, no. But
okay.
Shout out to Billy Starks, though. I mean, that's my friend, and she is kicking ass at that AEW and that Ring Honor. But so working for ICP and working for Big Japan Pro Wrestling and all those tapes, working for every company that does death matches that I can get my hands on,
right,
has been my advertisement. Has been my my thing that people recognize and want to see me do. So, but I can walk through an airport and nobody knows who the fuck I am. Am I making sense? Like,
yeah. I, first off, you're just fucking humble, but I do get it, because you have a huge fucking following. You do know that. You know what I mean? You have to realize that. But I think you're just so fucking humble. But do you kind of like that at times, how you can walk through an airport and not be bothered unless like a deathmatch fan knows you and asks for an autograph? Do you like kind of being anonymous when it comes to that?
I'm good. I'm good either way. So if a fan comes up, asks me for a picture, no fucking problem. If a wrestler in the back looks at me and asks me for a picture, no fucking problem. I'm the biggest guy about I know that I always wanted pictures with wrestlers. So, you know, I'll tell you a really cool story. So,
sure.
Waiting in line for Kane Hodder's autograph. And this line is fucking huge, right? So we finally get up to the line, and Kane Hodder looks at me for a minute, and he says, you want to get a picture? And I said, yeah. And he goes, which one you want? And I said, I'll take this one. And he looks up and he goes, Pondo, right? dude, it was my gayest moment I ever had. I'm like, holy, you kidding me? I
Yeah.
like, yeah. How did you know who I was? And he picked up his sleeves and he had these Hatchet Man sweatbands on his wrist. He's like,
Hmm.
man, I'm a juggalo from way back. I'm like, holy shit, you know. So little things like that, you
Hmm.
know, are so cool. But I don't, I you know, just like you're saying, it's not a convenience and it's not an
Hmm.
annoyance. Either
Okay.
way, either way, if they know who I am, cool. If they don't know who I am, cool. I just live life. I just go on through, you know.
Yeah, and that's again, that's another reason why, not to put on the knee pads for you, you know what I mean, what I'm getting, but that's another reason why I kind of like you, is you just seem like this regular dude, you know what I mean? To answer Patrick's question, what is a death match? A death match is, and you can correct me, Pondo, is you have the hardcore matches, which, you have the chairs and the barbed wire and occasional thumbtacks. Death matches go farther. They have light tubes and other implements of destruction. I guess that would be the easiest way. But
So the easiest way I figured out how to answer that question,
mhm,
hardcore, you may not get cut.
right,
Death matches, you're definitely going to get cut.
yeah.
Does that help out?
Absolutely. And what I was saying is you just seem like this regular everyday dude. Like you're happy to meet people, you appreciate, the recognition, you appreciate, just the love and support, but you're just a regular guy who wakes up and goes to bed, watches TV, relaxes type of thing. And that's what I really dig about you. Um I don't think I have any more wrestling questions, so we're going to get to basically the meat and potatoes, but one thing I want to kind of jump on, you mentioned Kane Hodder. And
Yeah.
one thing in your book that I'm really enjoying for the people who just joined us, Pondo's got a really good autobiography. I've skimmed through it when I first got it, but now I'm actually sitting down and reading the fucking thing. I just, I won't spoil this story. You got to read it. Let's just say the night Ian was pissed that you wouldn't do a spot, so he made you dress like a woman, and you got over. And then you had to call one of your lady friends about the maxi pad. And we'll
Yeah.
leave it at that. I told my wife that, and she busted up fucking laughing. Um,
Well, let me ask you something though.
okay.
Uh, we're both men,
Uh huh.
so if you had to put a maxi pad on, would you wear it like a band-aid, or would you even think that there was some other way? I'm telling you that was what when I put it on, that's exactly what I thought, and boy was I fucking wrong. But
And let's just say it's a very brief chapter, but I'm laughing because it ends with Pondo sitting in a tub scrubbing himself. But
with
those are one
cotton
of
all
the
around my stomach.
those are one of the stories like I love in this book. Of course I love the deathmatch shit. We're gonna get into talking horror. One of the things I skimmed around, and I've seen the video. Can you give us some insight to the Vaseline challenge with Marilyn Manson when you hung
Uh,
out with him and Billy Corgan?
Vicks vapor rub. Vicks
Vicks
vapor rub.
Vapor Up. Okay.
So I was working at Resistance Pro, and Billy Corgan worked there as well.
Hmm.
People think he owned it. He didn't own it. Um, so me and Sarah Bridges, Sarah Logan, whatever you want to call her,
Right.
Valhalla, uh, we asked Billy because he was on the road with Marilyn Manson. We asked
Hmm.
Billy, we were like, holy shit, that's coming to Cincinnati. Can we meet Marilyn Manson? He says, well, I'll get you in and we'll see how it goes. But, I can't really speak for Marilyn Manson. And we said, no problem. We would just
Hmm.
like to come to the concert. So he told us to be there early. So me, Sarah, and my buddy Shaq, we show up early. And there's something called the Billy Corgan Experience, which was him and his guitarist doing acoustics during
Hmm.
the day. So we sat through that, and then I say sat through that. We enjoyed that,
Right.
and then he said, "Make sure you get with blah blah blah." I can't remember the guy's name. So the guy gave us a gold bracelet and a green bracelet.
Okay.
So the gold, silver, it's hanging on my wall over here. Um, he gave us a silver bracelet and a green bracelet. The silver
Mm-hmm.
bracelet got you back and forth to the cleaner bathrooms, not way in the back.
Right.
And the green one meant that you hung around after the show and they took you backstage.
Mm-hmm.
So there were all these people in line, and we had the green bracelets. That same dude who gave us the bracelets came out and said, I need Pondo and his two people to come with me. And we're
Okay.
talking about we was pretty far back in line.
Mm-hmm.
So we're passing all these people. And of course, whether you get your name called or not, all these people in lines like, who's these motherfuckers? You know what I mean?
Right.
So they set us back there and we're on the inside. And the guy comes and gets us. He says, hey, Billy wants me to bring you around to the catering side. So we
Okay.
walk outside and we're sitting out there. Billy comes out and he starts talking with us. Marty Bell and Matthew Justice, who was dating at the time, are sitting at the same table with us. And Billy comes out and he's starting to
Mm-hmm.
talk. And next thing I know, Twiggy Ramirez comes out and says, which one is he, Billy? And Twiggy, Billy points at me. So Twiggy sits at my left.
Okay.
And so I'm in awe. I'm like, holy shit. So I'm talking to Twiggy Ramirez. And
Mm-hmm.
next thing I know, Billy leans over and he goes, Pondo, the Emperor's coming. And I look up, here comes fucking Marilyn Manson.
Uh-huh.
And there's a chair next to me, which Billy made sure there was a chair next to me.
Mm-hmm.
So Marilyn Manson comes out there and he's got one of those little vials of Vicks Vapor Rub. And this was all set up. I'm not a fucking dumbass. And
Right.
he goes, Billy, I was wanting to do a challenge with one of these guys, but I didn't know which one. Basically, what he was saying was, hey, you told me about somebody, but who is it?
Yeah.
So Billy, oh, it's that guy right there. So Marilyn Manson sits down next to me. So I am, and there's not much space at the table. So
Mm-hmm.
I am legit rubbing elbows with
Yeah.
Twiggy Ramirez and Marilyn Manson, right? So Marilyn Manson says, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stick 2 fingers full of this Vicks Vapor Rub in our tear ducts, and we'll see who cries first. It's fucking Marilyn Manson. I
You
ain't
don't
gonna
say
let some
no.
dude. Yeah, I mean, he wears a dress on stage. He ain't beating my ass, So, so
Sorry.
he dips his fingers in there. I dip mine, and
Uh-huh.
Billy goes 1, 2, 3, go. So we stuck our shit in there, and oh my god, it was the worst shit ever.
Yeah.
It was so bad. There's a like a box of tissue right there. I wanted to grab one so bad and get that shit out of my eyes, but there's no way I was gonna let this man beat me. My eyes would have acided themselves out of my socket before I grabbed a napkin. So uh, he just keeps talking and going and going and going,
Mm-hmm.
and finally tears start coming down his face. I win. So now I'm like, all right, cool. I would have rather he said, hey, let's cut each other with glass or something. But no, I got this shit in my eyes. So finally, he got tears. He's like, all right, you win, Pondo. You're the winner. So I grabbed a napkin, but I wasn't rubbing mine out until he rubbed his out. But this motherfucker wants to show off to some girl and shit like that. I'm like, damn it, would you just rub that shit out of your eyes? But finally he did. So I got mine out. But here's the thing. At that
Mm-hmm.
table, all those people that was waiting in line, they
Mm-hmm.
got to sit at the tables back there in catering.
Yeah.
And a few of them would wander over, but Billy and Marilyn Manson would both tell them, all right, we're talking to our friends right now. We'll be over there to meet you guys here in a minute, right?
Uh-huh.
So this might be 45 minutes to an hour, and these people are waiting to talk to Billy Corgan, Twiggy Ramirez, and Marilyn Manson. So they I got the shit out of my eyes. Finally, the tour manager comes and says, all right, the bus is getting ready to pull out.
Oh no.
Billy and Marilyn Manson start heading towards that bus. People are losing their fucking minds. I don't know if they paid to
Uh-huh.
meet him after the show. I don't know. I didn't ask. But next thing you know, me, Sarah, and my buddy Shaq are enemy number one. These people are looking at us like, you motherfuckers, but
Yeah.
it didn't have nothing to do with us. But
Right.
that was just one of those surreal moments where knowing somebody got you backstage passes to meet one of the most iconic people in this fucking world, and you can see pictures of it in that book.
Yeah. That's what I love. Like, there's a lot of personal pictures. One of my favorite pictures, honestly, is that picture of you with your mama, and she's holding the saw bat to you. I love
That
that type of
that took
stuff.
some convincing. That took some convincing, but
One last deathmatch stuff. How is it? How does, like, mama, dad, or any other, current spouses, former spouses, children, anything like that? How do they feel seeing you do this type of stuff, and for knowing that you've done this for nearly 30 years? Do they refuse to watch it? Do they get into it? Is a little bit of both. Have you ever had a family member say, quit doing that shit, or something like that?
my grandma all the time.
Yeah.
Grandma all the time said you got to stop. So one Easter, me, my cousins, and everybody's sitting at the table, and my grandma
Hmm.
come through, and this was after an IWA weekend,
Right.
and came through, and she just barely patted me on my head and kept walking, and then my cousins are in horror looking at me, going, "You need to go to the bathroom right now." I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "Feel your face." Well, my
Hmm.
grandma opened me up. My grandma hard way. How about that? So uh, they all used to come to my matches when I was just wrestling.
Hmm.
But the minute I started doing death matches, they love me.
Right.
They love that I do what I do. They love that I've been to all these different places. They love that there's somebody who is recognized in the crowd. But as far as coming to my matches, fuck no. They're
Yeah.
not coming. They can't watch their baby get cut up like that.
I get
Now,
it.
I have three daughters.
Hmm.
Two of them give two shits about professional wrestling. The oldest one, she lived with my mom and dad,
Okay.
and she did a book report on it was supposed to be do a book report on your dad.
Hmm.
So she did a book report on me, talking about landing in all these things and flying to all these countries. Well, when she got home, the teacher gave her an F. So
Really?
my mom called the school and said, "Hey, what's up with this? Why did you give my daughter an F?" And they're like, "Well, we know Mr. Kennedy,
Hmm.
and Autumn wrote this fantasy paper about this guy that lands in barbed wire and thumbtacks and has been all over the world." And my mom was like, "No, that is her father. And yes, he has done all that stuff." So not only did they give her an A, they was having a Mad Man Pondo day where they get on the internet and they're
Uh-huh.
searching my stuff. And I don't know how far you are in the book, but I had this public access show called Skull Talk where
I have read that chapter. Yes.
I had naked chicks sitting on my lap
Hmm.
and introducing wrestling shows.
Yeah.
A couple of those pictures showed up, and that was the end of Mad Man Pondo Day
Oh,
at the
dude.
school. But yeah, my family is very supportive of what I do,
Okay.
but they do not. So you remember 2 years ago, Matthew Justice at Planet Death jumped off the balcony, put a knee straight in my ribs, and the
Yes.
barrels were too close underneath. Well, that was two ribs broken and hit so hard. One didn't just puncture, but it tore a hole in my
In the
lung, making it
lung. Yep.
collapse. So thank God I was in Florida because my mom took care of me for a
Hmm.
week.
Yeah.
Well, even longer than that, about a week and 3 days. But I don't know what I would have done without my mom and dad at that time. I don't know if my wrestling would be what it is today without their help back in the day. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my family loves that there's a Mad Man Pondo. My granddaughter calls me Pondo,
That's
which
cool.
I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all.
That's cool. And you're probably the only grandpa that's called Pondo. You know what I mean? So that's really
Probably.
neat.
I'm
Now,
also called my Pondo. She calls me my Pondo.
that's awesome, dude, and that's really cool because it does kind of remind me of a Mickey Knuckles story. She told me how like I think one of her daughters kind of had that same situation, showing what Mama
She's,
did. Yep. Um.
yep.
Now we're gonna get into what we really want to talk about. I mentioned it earlier. One of the things that again, like I really enjoyed about you, not just as the blood and the gut stuff, is every single fucking match you always have a different horror movie shirt, whether it's Fulci Zombie or The Shining or stuff like that. So I loved how you were a horror movie fan.
Big.
And I took a chance one day. It was Netflix when Netflix still gave the discs in the mail. You know what I mean? And I just took a shot on 2001 Maniacs because, I'm a kid of the 80s. I was born in 81. So we fucking know who Robert Englund was. And yeah, we're gonna talk about that. That's so cool that it just happened to fall in your bag. You hate when that happens, right? And
Fell right in my bag. I don't know how that.
what was really cool is I had a blast with the fucking movie. Robert is basically a Looney Tunes character in it. If people don't know, it is a remake of Herschel Gordon Lewis's 2000 Maniac, which I have a lot of fun with this one. Are you a Herschel Gordon Lewis fan, Pondo?
Of
Yeah.
course I am.
And I had never seen the original at that time, so I had no fucking clue what I was getting into. And it is very tongue in cheek. It's very slapsticky. It's very funny. Lynn Shay is a fucking hoot in that movie as Granny Boone. And
What a
one of
nice
my
woman. She's so nice, so down to earth. She was so cool.
she seems like a sweetheart. And there's a scene where Tim Sullivan is the director, and he always tries to have gay characters in it. And of course, the gay character gets a barbecue skewer up the ass type of thing, and it comes out the mouth. And what I love
Yeah.
about Lynn is I learned this is like as he's dying, she just bends over and like sticks her mouth around the barbecue skewer and just sucks the blood off. And that was just her doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's like the cast we're dealing with. And what I loved is there's no speaking lines, but there's a scene where the would-be victims are walking through this old town, and then someone just happens. I'm not good with aiming it, but someone just happens. Where are you at? There
Right
you go.
there.
Someone just
Right
happens to
next to
be
Robert England's left ear.
working as the blacksmith, and I'm like, nah. And I didn't even pay attention. And then there's a scene where they're throwing like the horseshoes, and that same different, no disrespect, looking blacksmith is cheering him on with a beer mug and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when all shit's going to hell, and you got the flames, and we know that they're all ghosts and this and that. In the crowd, the same blacksmith, and I had to go to IMDb, and you're in 2001 Maniacs.
I
How?
am.
First off, as a horror movie fan, how did you get picked, and what was it like? Like, were you in awe of working with Robert? How was he behind the scenes?
So you remember you said you always see me wrestling in horror movie T-shirts.
Yes.
Roy Canarum and Pat Tanatello, rest in peace, Pat Tanatello. They were doing the special effects for horror movies. They owned a
Mm-hmm.
company called Soda FX. I don't know if that's still a thing or not. It probably is.
Okay.
But they always saw me wearing horror movie T-shirts. So they came over to me and they said, "Hey, Pondo, would you want to be in a horror movie?" And without missing a skip, fuck yeah, I want to be in a horror movie. So uh, they said, "Just sit. We'll call you. We'll call you when it's ready." I'm like, "All right, cool." 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year. All this time went by, and I decided, all right, they either forgot about me or the movie didn't go through. Finally, 2004,
Mm-hmm.
they said, "All right, Pondo, we need you in Georgia. We need you in Georgia on this date, da 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 da." You'll stay with us in our hotel, and we're going to give you $40 a day, which I would have gave them $40 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're on set, we will take care of your meals. I'm in. Let's go. They did not tell me that Robert Englund was in this damn thing. I'm like, so I show up. I'm the first one to show up before the special effects team.
Right.
I am signing into my hotel, and I'm sorry about that.
No, just gotta do it, Red.
I am signing into my hotel, and somebody comes up behind me. I don't pay no attention. I'm just signing my shit, and they say, "Yes, can I help you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'd like to check in. I'm Robert Englund." Dude, I was just stiff. Couldn't do nothing. I'm like, "Are you shitting me? Robert Englund's right behind me." So it was just it was an extra perk that Giuseppe Andrews was in this. Lynn Shay was in this. They really didn't give me too many details about what they were going to pay me and what day to be there, what hotel, you know. So I'm learning all this shit as they are. So Robert Englund goes up to his room, and I'm thinking to myself, shit, I had him all to myself. I could have said anything I wanted, and I didn't. So the next day on set, all the extras, and I mean, there were a bunch of them, all had surrounded Robert Englund, and they're all talking to him and taking pictures and shit. And I'm like, man, I can't believe that I missed my opportunity. Well, next thing I know, I figured out Travis Tritt's in this movie.
Yes, he is.
He's the gas station attendant.
Yep.
I am in Georgia. There are Hicks in Georgia. So I start dropping hints. I'm like, hey, man, Travis Tritt's over there. And people's like, that ain't Travis Tritt. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's Travis Tritt. So people had already met Robert Englund, so they started rushing over there. And next thing I know, I'm pretty much alone with Robert Englund. I'm like, hell yeah. But so the next day for craft services, you know, that when they feed us the meals, the first day, I just, like I told you, I'm a thinker and I'm a watcher. Yep. So the first day I sat back and I watched how things worked. Whoever got their meal sat on this side of the table, the next person sat on this side, the next person this side. The second day, and that from that day forward, I made sure there was a person in between me and Robert Englund. That way I was sitting next to Robert Englund. So you're on the set from like 3 or 4 in the morning. You got to be back there at 8 or 9 in the morning.
Right.
So after 2.5 weeks, I didn't give a shit where I sat. So I passed the table where Robert Englund was sitting, and he goes, Pondo, you not sit with us? I'm like, I am now. I mean, when Robert Englund knows your name, you're going to sit the fuck down. So, and man, he had such great stories, such a fucking good dude. I'll tell you an upbeat story. So
sure.
I go to these horror conventions hardcore. You can go through my Facebook. You will see 100 of pictures of me. So I'm walking through, and like people keep coming over and saying, hey, Robert Englund said that he wanted to talk to you. And I was like, all right, cool. So I go over by Robert Englund's table, and his line is all the way down this wall. They got him going all the way outside.
I can only imagine, dude. Yeah.
I'm not waiting on that shit, right? So I didn't go to his table. And a buddy of mine, Joe Hopkins, who wrestles as Gator McAllister, came over to me. He says, Pondo, hey, man, Robert Englund's really wanting to talk to you. And I said, yeah, but I looked at his line. I don't want to wait that long. And Gator said, he told me to get to where he can see you, and he will call you over. I'm like, oh, okay. So he's got the most security. He's got like 5 security guards. I am walking towards Robert Englund, and And these two of the biggest security guys come over and said, whoa, where are you going? I said, oh, I know Robert Englund. He wants to talk to me. He goes, yeah, we all know Robert Englund.
Sure, right.
So they're giving me a little bit of guff. Robert Englund leaves his table, comes around to where they are, and he goes, do you guys know who this is? This is Mad Man Pondo. When he wants to come talk to me, he can come talk to me, right? So they like parted the sea. So what he wanted to tell me, and my buddy Ryan Huff was with me, what he wanted to tell me was, he said, Pondo, do you have a hookup in Hong Kong? And I said, no, not that I know of. And he goes, well, if you look at the poster for 2001 Maniacs, you're the star.
Really?
I'm a shadow. Lynn Shay is a shadow, but the blacksmith is this big in color on the poster. I was like, I don't know how that happened. But anyway, he told me to try to find one, which I can't find one. But that's what he wanted to tell me, that I was highlighted on this 2001 Maniac poster. I have one hanging right here from Germany, and half of it is I'm on it. I'm on the poster, but half of it is a big rebel flag.
Right.
And my friends will come in my room and they'll be like, what the hell are you doing with that rebel flag on there? And I'm like, look, that's 2001 Maniacs. If you do a movie with Robert Englund and there's a guy fucking a goat on that poster, it still goes on your wall. I don't give a shit, right? So, yeah, I got that. Man, that experience with 2001 Maniacs was probably one of the most memorable in my life. Like, as big a horror movie fan that I am, and I was in a horror movie with Robert Englund. And then when the DVD Blu-ray came out, there I am,
fucking cover.
Right next to Robert Englund.
Right
and
there.
You might not know this. I will give you a little insight. Look at me. Look at my hat. Look at my hat. Oh, you.
Okay.
Look at my hat. Now look a little bit up. I am on that cover twice.
Oh shit, you are. You're like right in the background. Your head's just peeking out like right behind this part of his head.
Yes.
That's fucking weird. Yeah, see, there's Pondo right there.
Yep.
That's fucking cool. I mean that's gotta be. I mean, you're from a small town, in Illinois. I checked. I'm in Sycamore right now, so I'm about like an hour west of Chicago. Your hometown's like maybe 2.5, 3.5 hours from me. Just starting there, and then just your whole wrestling career, but being a horror movie fan in a movie with Robert Englund, and the fact that not just a lot of people could have been like the way he took, hey, you're not sitting with us type of thing. It's just him being nice. But the fact that he fucking remembered you and got you close to the front of the line just so he could bullshit you. I mean, that says a lot, for you. But I think it says a lot about Robert too, that he remembers who he works with type of thing. And I think that's a really cool fucking story, dude. Thanks for sharing.
So great.
How are you on time? I know we're almost at an hour. How are you? Can you go another?
Good.
You're good? Okay.
9:30, we'll shut this thing down. How's that?
Okay, so about 15 minutes, you were good?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to fire this off. We're still going to stay on horror. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm almost positive you hate both of these horror movies.
Watch the pencil. Watch the pencil.
All right. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm pretty sure you hate both of these horror movies. All right. I know you hate one because you made sure to write that it fucking sucked on one of my autograph 8x10s.
Let me guess.
Hold on.
It's got to be. Okay.
All right.
Can I not guess? Or
I'll let you guess, but here's the rules. You got to say which one is worse and why, and then you got to give one piece of praise to the one that is not the worst. Go ahead and guess.
The two, right?
Yes.
One is Skidamarink.
Uh-huh.
And the other one is Hereditary.
Patrick from Have Cheetah will view. He loved how you wore horror movie shirts. He even says don't wear Hereditary shirts. Patrick hates Hereditary.
Me
now,
too.
Between those two movies, and that's one of my favorite things. Another thing, what I love about Pondo is he'll sign whatever the fuck you want on the 8x10s. And I said, just bash Hereditary. And then I get to Eric, Hereditary fucking sucks. Mad Man Pondo. So, between the two, Hereditary, Skinamarink, which is worse and why, and then give one piece of praise to the air quotes better film.
All right. Skidamarink is the worst piece of shit that I ever fucking saw. If you've been paying attention to my Facebook, I made Skidamarink 2. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
I just took pictures all around my apartment. I took a picture of my toilet seat. I took a picture of some of my dolls.
Uh-huh.
And I had little kids whispering all the way through it. And then remember the face at the end of Skidamarink? I had Pickleson Cage was my face at the end, and then it said the end.
Yeah.
Skidamarink 2. Skidamarink 2. So me and my buddy, we saw the trailer. My buddy Terry Harper, we saw the trailer for Skidamarink.
Uh-huh.
And it had the old vintage film looking, you know. So we thought, oh, this might be cool. Mm-hmm. So we went to one theater, and something happened to the movie, and it couldn't play.
Uh-huh.
So they gave us a free ticket to come back. So we searched real quick, and we rushed our ass off to make another theater so we could watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just fucking garbage. Like, I can't even explain how terrible this goddamn movie is.
I honestly, dude, I felt it was just so fucking boring. That's the main thing. I can handle a shitty horror movie. You know what I mean? If I'm entertained. For me, from beginning to end, nothing happened, and it was boring. An hour and 45 minutes. I think if it was a half hour, it would have been okay.
So, if you want something good said about Hereditary,
yeah, dig deep. You got to think about it. I know how much you hate that fucking movie.
All right, I got it.
All right.
Hereditary is better than fucking Skidamarink. How's that?
You know what? I'll take it. Since we're pressed for time, I'll give you a couple more things horror movie wise. What is one horror movie genre you just can't get into? Like found footage. I mean, I know you love your slashers and your gore movies and stuff like that. Is there anything genre wise that you've tried and you just can't fucking get into?
I don't mind found footage, but Cloverdale, I fucking loved Cloverdale. Wreck.
Yeah, I'm gonna start watching those. You know, I just got the trilogy.
It got made to Quarantine, but Wreck kicks Quarantine's at. You know, I don't mind found footage movies. I don't mind remakes. Like I just love movies. Now, Halloween 2 was a piece of shit, but I just love movies, so I go to movies. But the genre that I can't stand is horror movies made into art films. And that's what Skidamarink was. That's what Hereditary was. That's what Lords of Salem was. That's what that movie Men was. That's Annie's Men. Anything that's just too off the wall. Okay. I love the movie Police Academy because I understand what's going on all the way through, all the way to the finish. I don't like Lords of Salem because almost at the end, there's this little ugly midget and there's a whole bunch of priests jacking off dildos. What?
Yeah. I think it's like Zombie went obscene just because he could. You know what I mean?
So art film horror movies, I can't fucking stand. I mean, I just named off a few, and I'm sure there's more out there that my mind is escaping. But yeah, art film horror movies. Actually, art films at all.
One last question. You know, I know you've been asked this a lot with, who's your Mount Rushmore of deathmatch wrestlers? What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of flip that a little bit. I got a couple more questions and I'll let you go, bud. Your Mount Rushmore of horror movie creators. They can be directors. They can be actors. However you see fit. What's your 4 Mount Rushmore of horror movie content creators, I guess you would say?
So John Carpenter has to be one of those heads because Halloween is fucking excellent all the way through. Oh man, you really got me here. It's not that I don't have a bunch, but
Mm-hmm.
uh,
I'm
let's
sure
see.
Robert Englund would probably be up there for you for
Well,
personal reasons.
are you talking about directors or?
Well,
I thought you
anybody
said
in the anybody
oh,
in the in
and
the anybody in horror. It could be actors, actresses, writers, or directors. Anything.
definitely, yeah. Well, then, yeah, Robert Englund would be John Carpenter, Robert Englund, um, the Tall Man. I think he's one of the most
Angus Scrimm.
underrated characters ever.
Okay.
Uh, who else? There's got to be one more. Shit, man, you got me on
Hey,
this.
I'll take 3 out of 4 though. I was happy that you picked the
You
tall
know
man.
what?
Yeah.
She was a bitch to me, and I can't stand it. But Linda Blair,
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Angus
rest in
Scrimm. Yeah.
peace, Angus. You're
Yeah.
right.
Um.
I have the tall man tattooed on the back of my calf with his autograph.
That's really like he autographed your leg and like he tattooed over type of thing.
I went to Wax from CZW and had him ink it in.
That's fucking cool. We're gonna pull the curtain back a little bit. I ask everybody on this, in this interview series, we're gonna get a little bit of more. We're gonna get a little bit morbid. It's your last day on Earth. You're walking the Green Mile. Maybe you got your hands on Smooth and finally took him out. If you want to know that story, read the fucking book.
I wish I
What
could.
from beginning to end? What no limits? What is Pondo's last meal on Earth?
Last meal.
No limitations.
No limitations. Man, I'm a big steak guy. I'm a big salmon sushi guy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's throw a steak. Let's throw 4 or 5 pieces of salmon, stovetop stuffing,
Yeah, I'm a sucker for
and
that.
a big old glass of Coca-Cola.
Awesome. Um, you got nobody around the house. Your body is feeling 100% for once. You know what I mean? You've got no bookings, nothing like that. What does Madman Pondo do to relax? What do you do to relax?
Man, I'm on my phone a lot.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone a lot. Uh, I didn't realize how much I was on my phone until I would watch one video at 5 o'clock, and then I would look at the clock and it'd be 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm like, holy shit, I've been watching videos this long.
Yeah.
But if you realize back in my day, there was no cell phones. There was beepers and shit like that. So yeah, man, I'm on my phone a lot. I like to kick back with a good horror movie. I'm single, or I would have whoever I was with just laying on my shoulders, just watching horror movies, man.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I'm gonna fire off a few names since we got about 7 minutes. Quick word association. Say as little or as much as you want, and then we'll wrap it up, and I'll let you go, dude. Okay, we're gonna start off with, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I've seen in posts on Facebook and stuff, your favorite wrestler, Sergeant Slaughter.
Sergeant Slaughter is my favorite wrestler, not because of his WWE days, but his AWA days, back when there was boot camp matches all the time. He would bleed all the time. Me and him are friends. Like he had it's laying right here. He had an action figure come out that you had to pre-order. I pre-ordered it, and then when I got it, they said, "Oh no, you have to pay for it. You just paid for the pre-order." I told Sergeant Slaughter about that. He went home, asking my address. He sent me that figure plus the prototype for that figure. So I have them both sitting right over there.
That's fucking cool.
I will say Bruiser Brody is a close second in there. Bam Bam Bigelow, the sheep herders, not the
bushwhackers, the sheep herders. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I got a few favorites.
Cool. You've been touring with him recently here in the states. A favorite of mine from Big Japan, Shadow WX.
Shadow is. We didn't realize we was going to be as good as friends as what we was. I mean, we was never enemies, but
Mm-hmm.
I was in Japan and he came. He asked my hotel. He came. He took me out to eat, and he said he wanted to come to America. So I came to America. I found a bunch of companies to say yes, and this was his second time. He wants
Mm-hmm.
to come back for his third time. But we hang out here and we hang out over there. So yeah, Shadow's cool.
That was one of my coolest things. Is you always like to send tracking with the 8x10s, and one of the coolest thing I got was just a picture of Shadow holding up my address,
That's
type of
right.
things. Three more, and then we'll close off. I want to obviously Mickey Knuckles.
Love Mickey Knuckles. Me and her both went through the same Charles Manson bullshit.
Yeah.
So we just got closer and closer, and we tag every once in a while. We're actually tagging February 16th in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if one of us isn't booked that weekend, we always call each other and say, "Hey, you think you got a booking I
Mm-hmm.
can jump on?" Yeah, Mickey Knuckles, she's awesome.
Well, I finally got to see her in person. I think it was back in June, and I these interview series are getting me out of my bubble and like going to death matches. I finally got the balls to just like introduce myself to her, and it was just real cool to see how down to earth and just how great of a person she is. So that was the big highlight. Two more,
They call me Mad Dad, and they call her Aunt Mickey.
yeah. And there's a video of a little girl interviewing you and her
Yeah,
on YouTube, which is just it's so cool seeing how you are with kids. You know what I mean? Like there's an between the ropes of you, and then there's an outside, and I think that's what people don't realize. How different you guys are outside of the ring.
I
Two
hear you.
more, Matsunaga.
Fucking so, um, he is. You mentioned tape trading.
Mm-hmm.
To figure out that I wanted to do death matches and to study those and become whatever I am today, there
Mm-hmm.
was a compilation tape of
Mm-hmm.
Masanaga versus Mr. Pogo from the Wing promotion.
Yep.
I watched that until it fucking disintegrated, and
Mm-hmm.
then I bought another one off of Feinstein that was
Yep.
not as good a quality as the one that I had, but still I had it.
Mm-hmm.
And just to know that Masanaga, when I walk in his restaurant, not only says, "Hey Pondo," but he also always says "American Danger Man." Fucking
Yep.
gets my blood pumping. Mr. Pogo, first name basis. Rest in peace, Mr. Pogo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Masanaga, man. That was that. I mean, when you meet your hero
Mm-hmm.
and he acknowledges you and
Yep.
gives you a nickname and gives you the armbands to wear, where's your wrestling going to go from there?
Exactly. I always look forward to your Japanese tours because you always share a picture of you and him in the steakhouse. You know what I mean? I always get a kick out of that.
I will always
Uh
go to that steakhouse every time I go to Japan.
uh can't talk to you without talking something quick about Necro Butcher.
My buddy, my brother, man. When Big Japan said, "Hey, we want Bakagai Gene back. Who would you like to bring?" My first thought was the Necro Butcher,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not only a tag over there, but we are a team. Like when we're there, I mean, we make sure each other's okay. I make
Mm-hmm.
sure he's okay. Make sure I'm okay. Um, but it's no different than here in America. You can watch all types of film companies of places that we've been, and it was always there was always a necro butcher. I mean, we've been to Mexico together, we've been to
Mm-hmm.
Japan together, all over America together. Um, JCW, we were the tag champs there. Um, yeah, necro butcher, that's my dude.
All right, this will be, I promise, the very last name. The only reason why it just clicked is because you mentioned Mr. Pogo, and there's three wrestlers when before I was smartened up that scared the shit out of me. One was Big Van Vader, one was Mr. Pogo, and can you tell me something about number three? He's still scared me just because of how intense he is. Seeing those old videos, Bull Pain.
Oh, I've wrestled all three of those guys. Um, I will admit, in the beginning, Bullpen was very intimidating to me, but I don't think Bullpen really liked me in the beginning. So he would put things to me pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
He denies that, but I'm not an idiot.
Right.
I know when I know when a punch to the face is a punch to the face.
Right.
Not that he would punch me in the face. I'm not saying that. But
Mm-hmm.
just every time I got done wrestling him, I made sure to go over and shake his hand and say thank you for the match.
Mm-hmm.
And the first two times it was all right, kid, all right, kid. After that, because he was putting it to me pretty hard, it would just be like, I can't believe this motherfucker's coming over here to shake my hand. So there was a trip that me and him took to Philadelphia,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when we got close. We had 17 hours to talk to each other. So when we got to Philadelphia, me and him are standing outside the arena. We was going there to wrestle for Angel, the Virgin Princess from ECW. And we're standing outside, and next thing I know, these cops start raiding this apartment building, and they got the fucking megaphones, and they're shooting tear gas through the windows, and bullets start flying back and forth. And me and Bull's just like, holy shit, can you believe this is happening? This is awesome. And some dude we didn't even know came up and tapped us both on the shoulder and said, you might want to scoot back. And we was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, what the fuck are we doing? We didn't even think about it, man. It was just like TV in real life. But we just talked about that not too long ago. And Bull works in Tampa, Florida. And when I'm in Tampa, I go and see Bushwhacker Luke, and then I
Mm-hmm.
always go and see Bull and spend hours just reminiscing about shit. But yeah, Bull Payne's awesome.
You know, that's the perfect fucking story to end this on, Pondo. Is there anything where you want to plug social media, upcoming bookings before we end this, where
Yeah,
they can
man.
find you?
So you talked about my book. You can pick that up at Amazon.com, or you can, if you want an autograph copy, you can write John Cosper at eatsleepwrestle.com. Tell him that I sent you. It's not going to give you anything any cheaper, but it makes me look good. And then you are looking for a Madman Pondo t-shirt. Corey Higdon has made a whole website for deathmatch wrestlers. It is deathmatchworldwide.com.
Mm-hmm.
There's all types of Madman Pondo t-shirts on there, but there's all types of every deathmatch worker you
Yeah.
would think of. They're all jumping on that Corey Higdon bandwagon. So yeah, that's the two. And then, oh man, I'm at, uh, sorry,
No, that's okay, dude.
the 16th, I'm at Horror Slam in Detroit. The 18th, I'm in Circle 6 in Detroit. The 23rd, I'm at ALW in Cocoa, Florida. The 24th, I'm at Juggalo Weekend. And then I can't remember where I'm at after that. Just keep paying attention to my Facebook. I'll surely put something up there if you're interested in coming and see me.
That's awesome, dude. So I said it before, man. I appreciate you taking the time out. You know, you gave me that an extra 20 minutes, and then I really
No problem.
appreciate that. Um, Check out Mad. You know, if you're ever bored, you could just YouTube Pondo stuff. It's out there. Check him out. Support him. Buy his book. Get yourself a copy.
Oh,
2001 Maniacs.
the Marilyn Manson video is on YouTube.
The Marilyn Manson video is out there on YouTube, so it's not a bullshit story because that's where I first saw it, and then he put it in the book. Just like, again, support your local indie wrestlers, support your deathmatch wrestlers, and I really appreciate you sitting down and shooting the shit, Pondo. It was,
No problem. Just get a hold of me if you ever want to do it again. I ain't got nothing to do.
I, I'll probably take you up on that offer. You know, it's like I said, I've been a fan since I first saw the first King of the Death matches and the aftermag. So this was really cool, actually sitting down and shooting shit with you, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, man. Thank you for everything. Thank you to everyone in the chat, and I will end this with a Madman Pondo quote: "Hereditary fucking sucks."
Hereditary fucking. But Skinamarink sucks even worse. That's That's my good quote about Hereditary.
Skinamarink fucking sucks worse. So with that,
Terrible.
cheers. Appreciate it, Pondo.
How was that, man? Okay.